Chapter 11 Office Makeover. After a couple of hours of deliberate and focused destruction, Barnaby had come no closer to a conclusion about what the source of the electromagnetic shadow he had seen was. When he had first looked at it, there had been no physical marks on the ceiling. It had been perfect, just as Sebastian would have expected. However, that was definitely no longer the case, since Barnaby had taken a builder's pry bar to the area and destroyed a 1 meter square to see what lay behind. The answer was, clearly, nothing other than the stuff that made up ceilings and floors. And so, as he stood on a step ladder, with a wholly unhealthy layer of plasterboard dust and detritus about him, he looked at the void between this story's ceiling and the next floor. "There's nothing here," said Barnaby, more to himself than Sebastian. In fact, he wasn't even sure Sebastian was still there until he looked. "Really, nothing at all," replied Sebastian. "Well, certainly nothing electrical or otherwise bug-like," replied Barnaby. "So what do you think it was?" Barnaby stepped down and off the ladder and looked again at the ceiling. "Indigestion. That's sometimes all my bad gut feeling is." "Yes, thank you, Mr. Comedian," replied Sebastian, smiling at the rather funny joke and helping his friend safely to the floor. As they both stared at the ceiling and what was now a problem for the building's maintenance crew, Barnaby turned to Sebastian. "How about we get the cleaners in and go for a drink?" "Capital idea, my man," replied Sebastian in mock upper-class tones. "Katie, can you arrange for the maintenance crew to come in as soon as possible, please, and tidy up the mess Barnaby made? Please apologize on my behalf and tell the team I'll have a few boxes of beer sent down for them as compensation." "Yes, of course, sir," replied Katie, picking up the phone to make someone else's day. Back on Earth number 2, Dr. Robert and Helen were still pondering the conundrum they were facing. He was sitting on a bench stool sipping a cup of tea. She was staring off into space, her mind on several different trains, none of which currently had a destination, just a wonderfully thought-provoking journey. If we accept the fact that the Farviewer somehow managed to bridge 2 dimensions, what can be the basis of the power source? It would have to be stupendously powerful. Helen offered the most current summary of her brain's trip around the imaginary. "Or extremely well focused?" asked Dr. Robert. "You mean that if it was a very small area then less power would be required?" replied Helen. "In essence, yes, it would still be a very, very, very large amount, but perhaps a more unbelievable number. In that case, what would be capable of focusing the high energy into such a spot?" Tapping the side of his mug, Dr. Robert watched the tea inside ripple from one edge to the other and then back again, making interference patterns as it reflected off the curved edge of the mug as it traveled back. The simple and elegant demonstration of wave theory sowed a seed in his brain. "Harmonics, Helen, harmonics?"